Good evening. I'm Julio Elizalde, Artistic Director of the Olympic Music Festival. I'm joined tonight by Stella Chen, violinist. Thank you, Stella, for being here. And we would have Matthew Zalkind with us, but he's already left, so we're filming this a little bit later. But this is the program called The Great Trios by Beethoven, his first and last trio. Maybe, before we get into the subject matter of what we're going to listen to tonight, we want to remind you that on Wednesday, September 3rd, at 7 p.m., Stella and I are going to talk a little bit about our upcoming program next week, which is on September 6th at 5 p.m., the finale of our 2020 Virtual Salon Concerts. So please visit our website, olympicmusicfestival.org, to get the information on those details if you want to share it with your friends and family. So playing Beethoven piano trios is, I think, one of the most beautiful things that we do in chamber music. What's your general feeling when you're doing Beethoven trios?
I feel like just a complete servant to the music. It's some of the most incredible music, period, to have been written. And I just try to convey what Beethoven wrote as beautifully as possible. And it's really such a dialogue between the instruments, and it was really fun to work on them.
Yeah, so these two pieces that we've programmed tonight, they're both substantial. They're a real challenge, and I can say for myself, having been a professional trio player for about 14 years now, they never get easier, and the music never stops giving to you. There's just such a depth of emotions and colors and really inventive ways of how he plays the instruments off of each other. So I thought for this program it would make sense to have the first and the final trio that he wrote. So the first trio, Opus One, number 1. So Opus, for anyone who doesn't know, Opus is just the order of publication. So when Beethoven decided to publish his first work, he decided to choose the trio, which was kind of an unusual idea at the time. And one of the major reasons that he did that was because he was very concerned about being compared to Haydn. His teacher, Haydn, wrote so many string quartets, and I think he probably just felt, how am I going to start and have my first pieces be compared to him? It didn't make sense. So, Beethoven waited until his Opus 18 to do his first set of string quartets, and they're also amazing. But so the piano trio at that time was coming from Mozart, from Haydn, and in a place where the cello was actually a little less present. It was more a supportive instrument to perhaps enhance the bass of the keyboards of that time. But in this piece, he starts already treating the cello as a real equal to the violin and the piano. How do you feel when you work on this particular piece, the E-flat trio?
Okay, I'm not going to go so far as to say that we have equal parts. I think you definitely have.
I have many notes.
A lot more notes. But at the same time, Matt and I both have some really substantial parts, and again, just the dialogue is the most, I think, interesting and fun part of it, because I kind of think of, when fish are in fish bowls and they turn corners very quickly. That's kind of how I feel about some of this music. You have to sort of do an about face and
very quickly,
change characters very quickly and react to what the other people are doing very quickly. And so that's really fun. And
I think, Beethoven in this piece, he's thinking very much of Italian opera, the kind of comic Italian opera, and the first and the fourth movements are really bubbly and kind of comic in their own funny ways, especially the last movement. Second movement is one of the most beautiful slow movements he ever wrote. I think still, even though it was an early piece, it's just really perfect. Third movement is very rustic, and little kind of moments of like Turkish-Hungarian flair. But I think the piece is a brilliant start to a career that changed the world. So here's Beethoven's piano trio in E-flat major, Opus 1, number 1. So that was Beethoven's Trio in E flat major, Opus 1, number 1. Before we get to the second piece, we want to take a second to thank everyone who's been supporting us in doing this project. This has been one of the most meaningful things we could have done as artists. How's it been for you being part of this, and especially with the kind of weird sabbatical we just took?
This has been an incredible experience, and one more emotional than I could have dreamed. It's really such a blessing to be playing music with people again. I didn't know how much I missed it until I got together with Matt and Julio, and that complete vulnerability and just giving yourself through the music to other people, and then through the camera to you guys is there's nothing like it.
So we're really so lucky to have so many people in our community who come together every year to make this possible. We still need your help. We're hoping to reach our fundraising goal of $88,000, our 88 key drive. If you can grab a key for $1,000 for a donation, that would be amazing if you can afford it. Otherwise, we hope you might consider making the donation of $40, which would be the cost of a ticket. And if donating that is not possible, we hope you would just share it with 5 friends. Send the link of this video to 5 of your friends or your family who haven't heard about the Olympic Music Festival. These concerts are free. We want to make sure as many people as possible can hear it, but we really do need your help to make sure that the Olympic Music Festival runs healthy into next summer. So whatever you can do, please visit our website, olympicmusicfestival.org, and we would appreciate anything that you can do. And in advance, thank you. So for our last piece, I guess we only played 2 pieces, but this is, I think the beginning and the end is a great way to spend an evening. This is the piano trio in B flat major, Opus 97, and it's known as the Archduke. This period of Beethoven's life is actually kind of interesting. Every once in a while, people will play Opus 94, 95, 96, and 97, which are really, really different pieces. Opus 95, the Serioso Quartet in F minor, is one of the stormiest, most compact, explosive pieces. It's one of the shorter string quartets. And then Opus 96 is the 10th violin sonata in G major, which is ethereal and spiritual in nature. And then Opus 97 is the Archduke Trio, which I think is also spiritual in a way, but in a more majestic kind of way. I've been playing this piece for a very long time now, and I still get intimidated by it because there is a challenge in the music. I feel a little bit like it's like you're reading, Egyptian hieroglyphs or something. The gestures that he writes are sometimes a little puzzling. And it's funny. I always think that in music like this, the slight awkwardness of the way Beethoven writes it is part of what makes it riveting to listen to, because you have to make sense of it so that the audience can follow. What's your experience when you play this piece?
So just thinking back on how you were talking about, Opus 95 and 96, I feel like those 2 pieces are pieces that maybe I need a second or third listen to just not be totally overwhelmed by what I was just hit with. And the Archduke Trio, actually, I remember falling in love with it immediately upon listening. The more we work on it, and the more the more terrifying it becomes, like how complicated and incredible and profound it is. But it does have that majestic, like effortless quality when you listen to it. And I think it's really funny, the juxtaposition of the movements next to each other, because you are, again, turned very quickly from something that is so profound into something that is so jaunty and playful. And I think that was very useful in our working process to remember that he was willing to do that, because I think sometimes we get caught up in, how do we present this profound music in a profound way, and we sort of get into our heads about how we need to be profound. But, he had a sense of humor, and that's one of the things that makes him great.
I think also the key is really important in this piece. B flat major, just thinking of it now, he's obviously aware of the final piano concerto by Mozart. You can hear a little bit of it now playing underneath. Just similar thing, very kind of beautiful and open, expansive and majestic. And then, so Beethoven takes that concept, turns it into his own thing. And then I was just thinking also about the Schubert's final piano sonata, the B flat major piano sonata, which is a very similar feeling. There's a kind of a element of finality that they're aware of. There's something kind of at peace with itself. So the first movement of the Archduke Trio, I think, again, majestic. It has one of the more strange developments where he just starts experimenting with trills and pizzicatos, like plucking on the violin and cello, and he just plays with it. You literally hear how he'll just come up with an idea which is almost nothing and turns it into this rush of energy which takes us back to the beginning of the material. The second movement is a very funny, almost Viennese, lilting piece. Again, a very odd middle section. He's constantly going from these feelings of being at peace or being jaunty and fun to this really spooky darkness. And then the third movement is, I think, one of the most beautiful things he ever wrote. And actually, I believe one of the harder things that we ever play as a piano trio. Like, what's it like for you working on this movement?
It's hard to. Sometimes we start to feel like we're walking on eggshells, and I think it's very important that it's the most delicate thing that you will ever hear, but also has to have this effortlessness and sort of sense of like inevitability. Like there's no other place that the notes can go, and that's what makes it so difficult, but also so special to listen to.
And it's been actually a really great process to do it in this format, to record it, because we were able to go back and watch ourselves play and learn and realize that we were actually not really doing, or maybe not that we weren't doing what Beethoven wanted, but it just wasn't unfolding the way we envisioned it. And so we're really glad that we were able to find a final product that we're proud of. This third movement has one of the most epic shifts between movements. It's not all that common that a composer will link the two movements, but then the last movement to me is Viennese cafe music. It is so fun, and it shows in a way that Beethoven can go from these poles of extreme, profound, deeply, almost religious feelings to something so human and so just everything's fine. Nothing matters, and you'll hear that the violin and the cello are constantly just putting in random notes. It's very cheeky. The finale, the way he switches to the finale, I think is wild. He goes into this insane, overdriven, almost Italian tarantella, and the whole thing just evaporates in a puff, and it's a great thing. We hope you enjoy the ride. This is Beethoven's Piano Trio in B flat major, Opus 97, known as the Archduke. Well, we hope you enjoyed that. Stella, thanks for joining me for our commentary today. As always, please share all this and everything else that we've done. You can visit our website, olympicmusicfestival.org. And again, you can join us this coming Wednesday, September 3rd, for my conversation with Stella before our concert and the finale of the 2020 Virtual Salon Concerts next Sunday. That's September 6th at 5 p.m. with music of Beethoven, Brahms, Tchaikovsky, and Wieniawski. So we're always thankful for your generous support, and we hope you have a good night.